To make great videos, we need excellent lighting, and the great news is you can get started with very good lighting with possibly what you've already got around the house. Now this one here gives you fantastic white light. This is a 24 watt energy saver light bulb, and you can pick these up for around $6. And with just a couple of these, in fact 2 of these to get started, you can generate some great lighting setup for your videos. 2 of those you can get away with, and 3 would be fantastic. So basically with lighting, you have one main light pointing directly at you, and you'd place that next to the camera pointing directly at you. That's going to be your brightest light. Now the next light, we call it a filler light, which just sort of fills in the light on the other side. Now what I've got set up here, I'm using box lights. So this one here, if I can just pull it over, that's my main light, and I've got a filler light over here, which is another box light setup. I'll talk about the box lights in a minute, and I've got a third one directly above me. This one here, which is an umbrella light, this one here is just for looks. I'm not actually using it, it's not lit up at the moment. So I'm using a 3 box light setup, which is what I'm going to recommend for the upper budget. But for the lower budget, all you're going to need is a couple of these. You could even get away with one pointing it directly at you from in front of you next to the camera. But if you can get 2, one on the right and one on the left, you're also going to get rid of any dark spots and shadows, which is what you want to do. Now if you want to take it one step further, you could have one above you pointing down as well, which gives you nice edges. So some people call it a hair light, or you can have it a little bit behind you pointing forward, but that's going to give you a nice edge. And by having light coming from the left and from the right, you're going to get rid of those shadows behind you. Now if it is in your budget to get a box light set up, we're looking at about $300 to get 3 different box lights. You'd set one up as the main light pointing directly at you, and you'd have another one on the other side as a filler light, and possibly have that on a little bit of a lower setting. Now with box light setups, generally there's going to be a 2 box light setup or a 3 box light setup. The way you'd set it up is with a 2 box setup, you'd have the one main box light like this one here is pointing directly at you next to the camera. Then you have your second one as a filler, so filling in the shade on that side. Now if I get rid of that one, just turning it away, you can see how it's this side of my face is darker now, which could be used to create some kind of an effect. You could do some cool effects, but for clear videos we're going to need light on both sides, so bringing that back around. And then the third light I've got is directly above me, and that's just pointing pretty much straight down and a little bit forward, which is to do with giving me the darker background. If we're to switch the top one off, you can see the difference now. My hair's not lit up, I'm losing a little bit of picture there, and I'm not getting that clear line along the shoulders. So that's what the top light is going to give you. Let's just turn that back on. Okay, there we go. So now we've got those 3 lights on again. So you can get away with 2 lights by having one on the left, another one on the right one, but if you can get a third one on the top, that would be great. So if you're on the lower end budget, just get some of these white fluorescent lights and point them directly at you. You can use a table lamp, which you could sort of turn and direct the light at you, and try and get 2 of these pointing directly at you. It's only going to cost you about $12 to go and buy some, and get the most powerful ones you can get. And then if you're on the upper budget, you'd get a 3 box light setup for continuous lighting. If you're going to be traveling around a lot, you might want to go for the umbrella lights, because they're very quick to set up and pack up again, whereas the box lights, once you set those up, you really don't want to be setting them up over and over again. It takes a few minutes to do it. So that's our lighting. If you're on the low budget, look around the house or head to your hardware store and get some of these bright fluorescent lights. Try and match the tone and possibly veer away from the from the reddish tones towards the bluish white tones, and get a couple of those, point them directly at you from two directions, and if you have a third light from above, that's going to give you that nice edge. And if you're on the upper budget, maybe about $300 is going to get you a really good light setup, or for $200 you should be able to get a 2-box light setup ready to go.